we're lonelier than ever because we think we have this connection through social media, but we really don't.
Especially the rise of AI. I've been reading people are having relationships with ChatGPT and like romantic relationships with AI.
Well, that's very, very, very scary. It's like the fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, someone will have a chronic headache or a chronic backache. And when you dig deeper, you dig deeper, you dig deeper, there's actually a key relationship in that person's life that is on the rocks.
You mentioned pornography. What does the statistics show?
It's the addiction to pornography, where it becomes the place where you go to regulate your nervous system.
Speaking for myself, like I'm constantly telling myself stories of these projected what ifs or like
join the club.
It's not fun.
No,
how do we help me, Jillian?
We want to match that sort of neurotic thinking. We want to match that with...
Jillian, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm such a fan of yours. I learned so much from you from afar. I'm cheering you on from the sidelines. I'm proud of you. This book's amazing. Your work's amazing. So great job.
It means so much to me. Thank you so much. I feel the same way about you.
Thank you. So let's dive into it. It begins with you. The title of the book hit me like a ton of bricks in the best of ways, because I want to be better at taking personal responsibility and looking at how can I shift the relationships in my life, my marriage, even beyond that, relationship with my family and friends. But it's countercultural, right? We don't love to take responsibility in our culture. It's not our best quality, and so. Why is it so important in what this message that you're getting across within the book? And then do you get pushback because it is so countercultural in many ways?
I actually have not been getting pushback, and I'll tell you why. The title of the book is It Begins With You, the 9 Hard Truths About Love That Will Change Your Life. It's not... it's not titled "You're the Problem." It's not titled "You're to Blame," And so when we think of personal responsibility or we think of accountability, our brain immediately goes into I am to blame, because we can get very binary in our thinking, like it's either their fault or it's our fault. And really, the whole concept behind It Begins With You is really that we have to be the change that we wish to see in our lives, particularly our love lives, and that we cannot change anyone other than ourselves, and that we just have to look at our patterns. And sometimes that pattern is how we have been conditioned to understand what love is, how we choose partners, how we show up. And so, it's really meant to inspire and empower people, and give them actually the whatever little control that we actually have in this life back to the person. And so this idea of we are the common denominator in all our relationships is not the same thing as the platitude of the problem is me, the Taylor Swift song. It is. You could be the problem, you could be part of the problem, or the other person could be way more problematic than you, but you chose them, right? or your relationship, your marriage, you're going through a rough patch. Here's what you can do to create a difference there, instead of just getting stuck in the I wish they would change.
Absolutely.
So it's about empowerment.
Yeah, it's about empowerment. And that is the maybe counterintuitive thing, right? It's like it's human nature, especially in our culture, I think, is to be a victim. But it's like, no, this isn't about blaming anybody. This is about empowerment. How can you have agency over your life, right?
Absolutely. And, for people who want to grow and want to learn and are very curious about breaking patterns, and they want to heal and they want to feel better, this is kind of the answer to that.
Yeah. One of the hard truths that you talk about in the book is you cannot convince someone to love you, right?
Correct.
And maybe we know that on some level, but it maybe not. Like, and even if we know it intellectually, we don't live it out. And maybe people that are in like a certain phase that maybe dating, for example, or we have feelings for somebody, we we also culturally, we like persistence. We like not giving up, right?
Right.
How do you balance that out for people out there of like, all right, not giving up too soon and letting go instead? The battle between the two, I guess, persistence and not giving up versus letting go.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, first, what I'll say is that there's a difference between fighting for your relationship and fighting to be enough for someone. And knowing that difference is key.
Yeah.
You can't fight for a relationship when one person wants to leave or isn't putting in the work either. You can't convince someone to choose you. You can't convince someone to be emotionally ready for you. You can't convince someone to put in the work. It's literally impossible. And you might possibly convince someone to stay in a relationship with you in the short term through guilt, through begging, through manipulation, through convincing. But it never works long term. And all you're doing is imprisoning them, really. And then you feel worse because you know that you had to convince them to stay. And so this is really a law of the land. And so this is not to say, oh, you're going through a rough season in your relationship, leave. No, if you love someone and you care about the relationship, fight for it for sure. But you can't fight to be enough for the person.
Yeah.
And so,
100%.
yeah, knowing the difference, that's where the
Yeah.
magic is.
Yeah. How does someone, I guess, know the difference? I mean, is it just as much as just taking inventory of it and being honest with yourself? Or are there any action steps you recommend for people to
Yeah.
have that realization?
So when we're fighting to be enough for someone, we are in a emotional state referred to as learned helplessness, where we feel like we're just not good enough and everything we do is not good enough. We feel sort of like a victim in the relationship. Everything is happening to us. To fight for a relationship or to fight for a relationship is different. It's not like, oh my God, see me, love me, let me change myself so that you can love me more. It's okay. How might I be complicit in that which I say I do not want? How might I be part of a dynamic that is not working? So it's really, this is not easy, but it's entirely possible. It's really about taking a step back and looking at things. And it's hard because when we're in a relationship, everything is emotional. But the accountability part is to be able to say, okay, what's going on between the two of us? What's my role? Because the greatest threat to a relationship is not conflict. People think that it's conflict. It's our inability to see our role in it.
So good.
So that's where it's a change of thinking. It's a change in our psychology. And it's not so clean. It's not like, oh, well, now I'm switching over to accountability me. You're going to go back and forth to feeling like a victim and feeling very emotionally charged to being like, okay, I love this person. I don't want to fight just for their love. I want to fight for this thing that we've created, but you can't do it alone. You can't do alone. But what you can do is make the decision and you can give yourself a timeline, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I don't recommend more than 90 days. And I'm talking about if this is a long-term relationship or a marriage, where you're going to say, I am going to work on myself and show up as the kind of partner I want to be and see how, if at all, it influences my relationship with this person. And if at the end of those 30, 60, 90 days, whatever timeline you set for yourself, you recognize, you know what, like I'm really doing the work and this person is checked out. They've got one foot in, one foot out. Then you know it's time to let go.
Wow. And that's difficult to do, especially like you
None
say,
of this is
long-term
easy.
relationships, marriage. Like this is
No, no,
really
no.
brave act sometimes.
Yes, but it's very strategic as well. And it's really, really important. And it's, it takes courage to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I believe it's spiritual work.
Yeah.
And we go into a relationship to evolve and grow. We are not in a relationship. We don't go into a relationship just to get our needs met and to heal our childhood wounds. Like, it's not just about like, give me, give me, give me. It's like, what can I give? What can I bring to this?
Yeah. I love that dimension that you bring into relationship work is that spiritual dimension. Like this is spiritual work. I've heard it said like it's a marriage or a long-term relationship is like a meditation and all that's wrong with you,
Yeah.
like all that you need to work on. And I think there's probably some truth to that. Like where, like you say, where do we need to be the best version of ourselves? Where do we need to show up and be the partner that we want to be?
Yes.
What do you say, like, for the people that are divorced, I guess, from that spiritual component, or don't see it as, they don't consider themselves spiritual, but maybe they're missing out on maybe a depth that you think is important here?
Yeah. So if your belief system does not include like spirituality and whatnot, just see it as like it's your opportunity to grow and to break patterns so that if you do end up breaking up with this person, we do take ourselves wherever we go. So you want to be the person who's willing to look in the mirror and to self-reflect.
Yeah, that's good. Our culture, we also love independence, right? And I know you've talked about the importance of interdependence. Can you
Yes.
maybe could define that for us? And then, like, is there a concern for being, like, too dependent on somebody, codependency, for example?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the differences there?
Yeah, I think codependency is an overused term in the zeitgeist and pop psychology,
I
personally.
love it. Let's go
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Um, so first I want to say it depends who I'm speaking to. There's some people who I've worked with where they really need to work on their independence because their whole model, their whole like relationship blueprint is about relying on someone else entirely for their security and happiness. And so that person does have a tendency or could or might have a tendency, not guaranteed, to be codependent, meaning they maybe date people with huge problems like addiction, active addiction, and they're trying to fix. That's the classic. Codependency is more classically referred to as being in a relationship with an addict, with someone who has is in active addiction, is not sober, and then the person is in the relationship with them, over functioning, trying to heal them, and as a result have completely ignored their own well-being. So, but even if you do that a little bit, where you just ignore yourself or you haven't learned how to meet your needs, then that person, I'm teaching them to be more, independent is not my favorite word to describe it, if I'm honest. I'm teaching them to be more self-reliant. And that does not mean like we need each other. We are social animals. So this is where for some people it can be a very tricky thing because you might have been wired in such a way that you haven't found your own self-reliance. And so you over rely on partners to make you happy or to be a certain way so that you can be happy. What we want is, and these are, this is not a direct quote, but I'm taking from the language of Eric Fromm. We want to need someone because we love them, not love them because we need them. And to need someone because we love them is what is interdependence. And
Yeah.
so we need each other, but the moment you love someone because you need them, that's neediness. And so when we are being needy, we are forfeiting our self-reliance. And when we are being so independent and our model is, I don't need anyone and I have to figure out everything on my own. And I just, freedom is the most important thing to me. Love comes second to that. That person has to learn how to not only need others, but allow others to need them.
Yeah, so good. I think of social media and like I've been married for 20 years, right? But I think of people out in the world today, right? Dating, whatever, maybe newer relationships. There's this sort of performative aspects to relationships, right? And comparison of other people's life with social media. How do you find like how is social media reshaping love today? And is it more difficult for people to find like authentic connections in their life because of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're lonelier than ever because we think we have this connection through social media, but we really don't. Social media just kind of creates this. I mean, we have some connection through social media, but we are not. There is nothing that can replace getting together on a weekly basis with 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people to engage in an activity where all of you are sort of collaborating on that activity. Like there's nothing that can replace that. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that can replace like the bowling league, you know, like there's nothing that can replace like the book club. There's nothing that can
Yeah.
replace like, you know, the runners club. Like there's just nothing. You know, there's nothing that can replace the yoga studio that you frequent several times a week and see the same people every day. So as we get more glued to our phones, the less likely we are to engage in real life, and that's where it gets dangerous
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Yeah. I mean, any recommendations with that, especially like you look at Gen Z and
I
all the
know.
subsequent generations, like there's so much of their life is tied to social media, right? And internet. I mean, what's the end result with this? Especially the rise of AI. I've been
I
reading people
know.
are having relationships with ChatGPT and like romantic relationships with
Well, that's
AI. I
very,
mean,
very, very, very scary. And that's it's like if that really happens, and which I think it will, it's like the fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, that's literally
yes.
what's happening. It's
I love that
very,
you
very
said that
bad.
so pointedly.
Hmm.
Yes, because some people will be like, well, yeah, no, I feel intuitively it's just not good. I mean,
No.
obviously, good things can come from AI, but
Oh, for sure.
unchecked, it just seems like it's going to be cancerous, malignant,
Yes. Well,
metastasized.
specifically, what I mean is like having romantic relationships with
Yes.
entities that are not real. Um, is like the fall of the Roman Empire. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. In what way? Like, I'd love to kind of explore the what ifs, right? Because we see it
Yeah.
already happening, but like, really, what do you think is going to happen? Knowing relationships, human relationships so deeply as someone as yourself, what do you think that sort of end result of this AI romanticism that's arising?
Well,
Do-
I mean, I just imagine more porn use, more isolation, more neurosis, more mental illness. Um, we can't really co-regulate with a computer.
yeah.
And we have to and touch is very important, and I'm not talking about sexual touch. I'm talking about just human touch is incredibly important. Like we
Hmm.
need proprioceptive touch, like we need that. It's
Hmm.
incredibly important. And can't I mean you can't co-regulate without a hug. You know, you
Hmm.
can't be in a relationship with someone who you can't like touch. I mean,
Hmm.
sure, there are people who do long distance relationships, but see or touch. So I just think that to me, it's like having a romantic relationship, which a lot of people do, more men, way more men, with like their the porn star that they see in their pornography.
Hmm.
You know, they are projecting, they're imagining themselves that that's the relationship that they're in. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, like a expansion of that, like
Yes, that's my
yeah.
perspective of it.
Yeah, I could see that. And I think of the Pixar film. I always bring this up when we talk about them in the future. Wall-E, came out like 20 years ago, but it was so prescient in the sense of the people were staring at screens. That was their entire reality. They had no
Yeah.
bone mass. They couldn't walk around. And then when the screens they fell out of the machine, they couldn't. They were like in shock that the world around them was the
I
real
didn't
world
see
around
that.
them.
I have to check out that
You should
movie.
watch it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a children's movie, but as you know, the
All the
artists,
kids, yes.
directors, yeah, it's like has such a deep wisdom to it. And I definitely see 20 years later, 20 plus years later, it was very prophetic in many ways.
Yes.
You mentioned pornography. I'd love to go there. Like, what does the statistics show? It is normalized in our cultures, especially among men, but really everybody in our world, and to some degree, we downplay it maybe, or we maybe normalize it. What does this research show?
I think so. Here's the truth. Consuming pornography once in a while, not a big deal. It's the addiction to pornography where it becomes just like any other addiction, the place where you go to regulate your nervous system. And so what's happening is that it becomes the addictive numbing. And then what happens to a lot of men is that then they don't actually know how to please a woman if they sleep with women. So I know but and this is what I know statistically in heterosexual scenarios. The more a heterosexual man consumes porn, and if he's addicted to it, watching it because sometimes every day, several times a day, the less likely he's going to know how to connect and please a woman in the bedroom, because he's
Yeah.
thinking that that's how you do it when that's not how you do it. So then he's just becoming more and more lost. And then he's also becoming very desensitized because he's ejaculating several times a week and sometimes several times a day. So you don't really feel that sensitivity when you're actually engaging in a sexual act with your partner. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and I've known quite a lot of people who were addicted to it, and it's like any other addiction. It feels like they have no control over it, and it becomes something. What was once a fun little like way to explore your sexuality, or to get some release, or maybe have some fun with your partner while watching it together, is replaced with numbing and feeling like you can't even get through the day without consuming it. And it's extremely isolating.
Yeah. Right. And this modernity, this time that we live in, it's kind of expanding this isolation and loneliness and then they keep chasing these cheap dopamine hits. And we all do it in different ways, right? For some
Yes.
people it's porn, for other people it's something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is you mentioned the spiritual aspect of relationships. In a way, I kind of see it as like this counterfeit, but a spiritual bypass, like because they want to have some nervous system regulation, like you said, or something like that. But it's not the real thing. We haven't this isn't something that we evolved with as a species.
No.
Yeah.
So I definitely see it as problematic. Everyone who I've ever worked with, and I have also known a lot of people who've been in relationship with those addicted to porn, and there's a lot of things that come along with that, and they're not, their relationship is struggling. So it can really interfere with a person's relationship quite profoundly. It interferes with their ability to connect with the person, physically, psychologically, emotionally. Yeah. It's just, it's not good. It really
I
isn't.
love that you set the record straight. And for, like you said, it could start off whatever here and there, and people think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But it's like you would call it maybe a slippery slope of a consumption, because it's so
Yeah.
convenient. It's so convenient for people, especially with their phones in their pocket. They have access to anything they want to look at.
Yeah. And then you have to, so with anything that we have some addiction to, or a lot of addiction to, we have to just see, like, so what is the time spent doing this thing? What is it replacing in my life? like, what could I, if I didn't have this, what would I be experiencing in my life that's way more meaningful? So it's painful to feel like we can't restrain ourselves. I mean, restraint is very important.
Yeah. You mentioned pop psychology earlier, and I'd love to get your take on something that I see on social media a lot
Yeah.
is, you know what I'm going to ask, narcissism.
Yeah.
Everyone's a narcissist, right? It's like, but what's the deal behind actual narcissism and then how it's being used on social media?
You know, the best expert who I've met thus far on narcissism is Dr. Ramani. So I definitely recommend people check out her work, and she's just a lovely person as well. Um, so there are definitely immature, selfish people out there, but not all of them is a narcissist. If someone is not into you, it doesn't mean they're a narcissist. You know, we have to be very careful to throw. I mean, narcissism is a pretty serious condition, and it means that like it, if they're not family, because it could be impossible, but you don't want to be in a relationship with a narcissist. You don't want to take that person back if they're a narcissist. You want to stay as far away from narcissists as you possibly can. And just because someone can be a little immature and selfish doesn't mean that they're a narcissist. Now, other people might define it a little bit differently and a little bit more broadly. I've heard, you know, we all have it. We can all be selfish. And so in a way, being in a relationship means that we have to figure out how to overcome our own narcissism, meaning that the world does not revolve around us, that the world is that that the world does not revolve around us, that we're not the only person with needs and wants and desires. And so on the one hand, I invite everyone to examine how their self-centeredness, because it's hard not to be self-centered in our society, and also with hyper independence. How might your self-centeredness be getting in the way of connection? And that's very confronting, because some of the most giving, I mean, I consider myself, and my friends and family would consider myself to be a giver, a lover. I'm very generous. These are my high values. But can I be self-centered in a relationship? Absolutely. I can fall into, you know, what about, you know, the world revolves around me. Is that where I live emotionally? No. If I live there emotionally, I might be a narcissist. But we all have a tendency to maybe to go there. And so you can't just call someone a narcissist, but you can say, you know, this person, I'm not sure if they're a narcissist. I need to speak to someone who really understands narcissism. Or you can say, you know, I just think this person just doesn't value generosity in the same way that I do. Or I think
Yeah.
that this person is just like too immature. Like all they think about really is themselves. Like they don't really have like what it takes to kind of build a relationship.
Yeah.
Hope that helps.
The yeah, absolutely. So there's like, I love the way that you put it, where you have immature and selfishness, which you could say is narcissistic like tendencies, right? It's very different than a diagnosable narcissist personality disorder.
Who by nature manipulates
Yeah,
for
and lives
person
in.
for and lives in. There's different types of narcissists. There's a kind of narcissist that lives in constant victim mode, and everything is happening to them, and you're responsible for making them feel better. There's a narcissist that's constantly manipulating you for sort of like just to get like, they can never take responsibility. Everything is always your fault. And yeah, so there's a spectrum to narcissism. But
Yeah,
at the core of like true narcissistic personality disorder, as some would refer to it as, there's sort of a malignant victim And we can all feel like a victim sometimes. Life can be really damn hard. You know, like in the character in a movie or a book where someone sort of straddles the line between victim and villain. It's like they're such a victim that they're actually the villain of the story. That's the narcissist.
Yeah. What's the research show? I mean, is there, for someone that's diagnosable having that, is there
Very
like
hard to
reversal?
diagnose. No,
Yeah,
it's very,
hard.
this is very
Okay.
hard. This is very hard. It's hard to diagnose personality disorders. It's hard to diagnose narcissism. Um, there's really no concrete evidence that you can reverse it because it's so hard to diagnose. Um, you know, and even though psychopathy, I don't even know if it is the correct term, but they like to call it something else now. It's incredibly rare. It really is. I know people, it's fun to be obsessed with it because you watch it on like true crime stuff, but it's actually very rare. So every psychopath and every sociopath is a narcissist, but not every narcissist is a psychopath or a sociopath. So narcissists can love and can care, but they can feel love. They can care. They can want the connection. They're not without feeling, but they're too consumed in what they're getting and not getting versus what they're giving.
Yeah. Thank you for that. One of the other hard truths in the book is the mind is a battlefield.
Yes.
You know, I'm speaking for myself. Like, I'm constantly telling myself stories of these projected what ifs, or like, what if they see this? What if they see that? I played out all the scenarios in my head.
Join the club.
It's not fun.
No,
How do we help me, Jillian?
I know.
Yes, I'm on the proverbial couch right now. I need help.
Yeah.
Like, what's the tips there?
So we want to match that sort of neurotic thinking, because it's basically neurosis, but we want to match. Okay. I mean, it is, but
it is. No, tell me.
It is.
Yeah.
Like it really is. We're like caught in a neurotic moment. We want to match that with self-awareness. So, my guess is that as much as you can get in your head and psychoanalyze and get neurotic or go down the wormholes, that given the work that you do, you also have a fair amount of self-awareness and conscientiousness. Like you are very, like you really care about looking at things deeply and being curious about the way things work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, for sure.
So you want to match that with, like there I am doing that again. I am totally in like story and what ifs. Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to call a friend? Do I need to take a nap? Do I need to eat something? Because, eating changes our physiology. Do I need to drink some water? Do I need to exercise? Is it so bad that I need to take out a piece of paper and pen and write out what else could be true? And what if the worst case scenario happened? Would I survive? So it's just bringing mindfulness to that. And this is a practice. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does begin with, there I go again. And here's something that's not talked about enough. Context matters. So oftentimes when we get really caught up in the rumination and all of that, it's a symptom of stress. So we think that's causing me a lot of stress. No, it's symptomatic of something else that might be going on in your life. So you see it like when people are having some sort of relationship stress. It could be family relationship, it could be friend relationship, it could be work relationship, it could be lover relationship. Relationship stress bleeds into every area of our life. And so a lot of times if we're having some sort of relationship stress, whether it's sort of systemic stress that we've had with someone or an event, that will then lead us to overthink about maybe that's something that's entirely unrelated to the actual stressor. But because our nervous system, because we're in a state of stress, it is leading to more overthinking and everything. Does that make sense?
100%, and that's exactly what it is for me. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's really not about the thing, but it's like when I'm stressed, I tend to be like, okay, I have all this stuff on my schedule, and I'm thinking about all the what ifs, and then you kind of live in your brain. But it's like
Yes.
it's not good,
So,
and it's
yeah.
interesting that
Yeah.
interesting that for I don't do this all the time. I should do this more, and it's you're calling me to a higher place to do this. It's like sometimes it's as simple as, okay, you've done this for all these years of telling yourself we need to go through this to solve all the world's problems of the what ifs, but it actually doesn't solve any of the world's problems. It just wastes so much mental output.
Yes.
And it's I know it's not as simple all the time for people, especially when you have anxiety and things like this, but it's sometimes it's as simple as just saying, no, I'm not going to go through that thing anymore. I'm not going to go through the mental neurotic
Yeah.
planning, you
And
know?
I know, and neurotic's not a bad word. It's just a word. It's like, it's when we get totally obsessive. Yes.
Yes.
And to finish off my point is, consider that maybe something else is going on, that, you know, I believe, and I think that you probably believe this too, based on the work that you do, that the mind and the body are one.
Yeah.
And that so much of the things that we need to heal physically has an emotional component, a stress side to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see it as more as like a trilogy. It's mind body relationship.
Mm.
So I've worked with many people, and my mentor who's been in this in the therapy space for 50 years. She's worked with many people where someone will have a chronic headache or a chronic backache, or or even something more mental, like they'll be depressed or anxious. And when you dig deeper, you dig deeper, there's actually a key relationship in that person's life that is on the rocks. And so
Mm.
you don't treat you can try to treat the headache, but you notice that maybe certain things are helping a little bit, but nothing's really helping, that herb, that diet change, that whatever. And then what you realize, if those things are not working, that maybe there's a key relationship that needs to be addressed.
Oh, it's
And
so
then
good.
once it's addressed, the headache goes away. So the headache is a metaphor for something deeper that's going on in your relationship world.
It's so good. I've seen that with telehealth patients too, where it's like, yeah, there's physiological things to deal with, of course, but it's
Yeah.
so, for some people, it's so interconnected to their relationship. It could be their, marriage, the long-term
Yes.
relationship, it could be family dynamics. And I have seen, I'm not saying this happens a lot, but some people come to the realization as they get healthier, they improve their health. We've dealt with, environmental factors and gut health, et cetera. But they're better than they were, but they're kind of stuck at a plateau, and they didn't realize this relationship was either like, okay, maybe it's therapy, maybe it's getting that healed,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's like, no, I need to move past this relationship. But I'm sure you've
Yes.
seen that as well, and it's
Oh,
like impacting their
absolutely.
physical health.
Or I have to mend things with my dad, or I have to have that conversation that I've been uh, procrastinating on, or I'm holding on to a story
Hmm.
that's making me resentful of my sibling, and I haven't dealt with it.
Yeah. And that's one of the hard truths within the book is making peace with your parents. I'd love to talk about that
Yeah,
because I mean,
sure.
I'll just be honest with myself. Like or be honest and using me as an example here is I had I would say complicated relationship with my dad, and he died suddenly in a car accident.
Mm.
And towards the end of our relationship, it was good. Like I think there was a lot of beauty in that of like, okay, the last final moments with him, and I didn't know it'd be the last, were actually really healing in a way,
Mm.
and so unique. But it's one of those things where maybe I can't, like how, what, my guess, my question would be, how do you heal that relationship if they're not here anymore?
Mm.
Or make peace, I guess,
Yeah.
make peace with it.
So both my parents and my stepfather have passed away. So let me share how to make peace let me first share if your belief system includes believing in some sort of afterlife, like there's a
Yeah.
soul or some sort of
And for me, it definitely does. So it's
okay,
like, yeah,
so some
yeah,
sort of higher consciousness, right?
yeah.
That it's not once you're dead kind of thing. You I don't know about you, but what I've learned, and I had a friend who recently lost her husband, you kind of like once the person passes, you all those sort of like resentments and stories kind of like go away, and all you kind of feel is compassion.
Hmm.
And you can still talk to them.
Yeah.
You can still have internal dialogue with them. You can still, you know, I had a great relationship with my mom, but it was always really important to me that I made her proud. And look, with every relationship, every parent-child relationship, we want our parents to be proud and not disappointed. And I still, to this day, will have um, decisions that I have to make where I think, oh God, like mom would kill me. She would be so pissed at me. Or like, I was like, like cleaning up my closet and it was like disorganized. I was like, oh my God, my mom would kill me if I would just like, like little things like that. I think it's just important, like those low hanging fruit. And just me being able to make decisions that I know would perhaps not disappoint my mom, but scare her only because she wants me to be safe. But I do it anyway, is me just being like, okay, I'm an autonomous adult. I'm making this decision that, my mom, it would have triggered my mom, but this is the direction I feel I need to take. That's making peace with your
Yeah.
parents in its own way, because they're no longer just like these leaders of your belief system. And so that's how you
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. And obviously many people have their parents still here. It's like, why is that so important? Again, I heard, I'm paraphrasing, but Eckhart Tolle says, if you think you're so evolved and, conscious as a human being, spend a week with your family,
That's
right?
Ram
It's like,
Dass. That's Ram
okay,
Dass. I think that
okay.
Eric Tolle maybe took that from
Eckhart
him.
Tolle
But
made me
yes,
quote it. Yes.
yes,
Okay.
but that's originally a Ram Dass thing. But yes. Oh yeah, it's very triggering. I mean, look, it's about, so part of healing that is like, what is the story that you have? Like, for example, I talk about this a little bit in the book. My relationship with my father was very complicated. He was diagnosed by a psychiatrist years ago as being a narcissist. He struggled with bipolar, and he wasn't medicated when I was a child. I mean, it was a nightmare and very, very challenging. So I could so easily think about things about my father and get myself into a state where I'm upset, where I'm angry, resentful, all these things. Or I could also look at it a little bit differently. It's not to negate those other things, but I could also be like, oh, well, my father was born in Poland. That's a very different culture. He very different generation. As an infant, he and my grandparents escaped Nazi Poland. So I grew up Jewish. He didn't even know that he was Jewish until he was 13 years old. His parents kept that from him. They lived in the woods in for a year hiding from Nazis. Then they went to Sweden, and then they moved to South Africa, where my father like spent his teenage years and went to medical school, and then met my mother, and then came to this country. Like there's that's a history that most of us can't even begin to relate to,
Yeah.
and that's a hardship that a lot of us can't even wrap our heads around.
Hmm.
And so I kind of understand that he didn't really know how to be a dad.
Hmm.
So that doesn't take away, it's not me taking away his responsibility, but I have a choice. I can focus on all the hurt and the pain, or I can focus on that and recognize that like that that story doesn't have to control me anymore.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about the higher values, and like this was a higher value for you. I think it was like being a giving person. Okay, that's beautiful. A lot of people don't even think about like what are my higher values? Like
Or
what are
my
ways?
values at all.
Yeah, right. What are my values?
Yeah.
What
I
are my
never
values?
did. I
Right.
never did.
So why is that important to have that? And how do we find out what our values are?
Okay, so the first thing, it's really important to know that because research shows that our happiness, or rather our contentment in life, is very much dependent on two things: the quality of our relationships, and then how well we are able to live congruently with that which we truly value. We will betray our values to get our needs met all the time. But if we can live our life more congruently with our values, then our self-esteem goes up. The second reason why they're really important is that, let's say you're single and you want a relationship, like a long-term partnership, a marriage, whatever, family, children. You have to know what's important to you, because long-term relationships have a much better chance of thriving and lasting when the two people who are involved in the relationship have the same core values. That doesn't mean everything's the same. It doesn't mean you have all the same hobbies. You want to be, first of all, that would be so boring. You want someone who's really different, but you have to have like the same, like really, really core values, like that sort of shared vision. And so it's helpful because it's a strong and necessary filter that needs to be used when you are selecting a partner. How do we figure out our values? Well, first of all, our values can change, and they do change. They can change as we go through different seasons of life. And you can decide that you want to value something more. You can decide, you know what, I haven't been valuing family enough, or I haven't been valuing connection enough. I've been too focused on work. And what I'm noticing is that, like, my life feels a little imbalanced. Like I feel stressed out. So I'm going to actually put connection a little bit higher up in the hierarchy, and value, um, and put more attention to love and connection. So you have to kind of write down all the things that are most important to you. And then if you and then think about the emotion behind it. It's like, oh, I I just, I love money. Okay. Is it the money or what it represents? Well, I guess money really represents security for me and freedom. Great. Security and freedom are important values for you. Um, if you notice that, like, you just really feel good giving to others, and it's important to you that you're around generous people. Okay. Generosity is a high value. So that's sort of the process.
I love that.
Yeah.
And getting to the root of it, like the root of it. You said like some people would say, "Yeah, I like money or whatever. I love my
Right.
career." Yeah.
Yeah. Or you say, I really value my long walks on the beach. Okay. What does that, what is that, what's the feeling that you get?
Like
So
peace or
peace. Yeah.
tranquility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stillness.
And then, if you're like taking care of your body, then health, and health is a high value. Like, obviously health is a super core value of yours. You would never do what you
Yeah.
were doing if it weren't.
Right. I'd love to get your take on this. Again, I'm on this proverbial couch solving all my problems here, Jillian. But just sharing it with millions of people. But what could go wrong? What could people? Anyway,
Yeah.
so I've been married for 20 years.
Yes.
And I look at my wife and I esteem her so highly as far as like just being so naturally, effortlessly good at relationships. She's just good at them. She's great at, like, she's like always the best friend. She's a giver. And again, she will be the first to tell you like that can go overcorrecting too far, and like she can neglect herself, and she's kind of balancing that. And we all have to find a balance in life. In my mind, I'm wondering, okay, will I ever, 20 years in, ever be as good at relationships as she is? Or there's just some people, no matter how much work that I do, it just won't come as naturally. Like I'm great at what I do in functional medicine. I'm great at all this, but relationships don't come as easily, it seems. Or is that an excuse that I'm telling myself?
I think it's the wrong question to ask
Okay.
yourself. I think that it's better to, to really steep in the gratitude for having found and chosen a partner who's so good at relationships, and to really like hold her in such high regard because of that. And then to ask yourself, how can I be an even better partner to her? As opposed to, will I just never be as good? I'm never as good. And that whole thing that becomes very self-consuming. How can I show up better to her today? For her today?
Yeah. I love that. That's the way. That's the way to go. And
It's the
I
way
don't,
to go. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I,
It's almost surprisingly simple. It's not
yeah.
easy, but it is incredibly simple.
But the key is, again, being consistent, showing up with that daily, because if it doesn't, it can
And
come
ask her,
naturally to
and
me.
you can ask her, what do you need? What do you need from me today?
Yeah. Yeah.
How can
All
I
right.
help you today? Yeah.
She will be very thankful for this episode. So
Yeah, I'm
thank you, Jillian.
sure.
Thank you.
And then she'll be
Um,
happy, and then you'll know that you are contributing significantly to her happiness, which is actually going to make you feel happy.
yeah, for sure. The another relationship hot topic that we've covered on the podcast before that I'd love to get your take on this is non-monogamy. Like all these different types of relationships. Like I'm in a monogamous relationship, but then I hear these other people doing different things in the world. It seems for me chaotic and like, oh my gosh, like heartache waiting to happen. But am I wrong? Am I just too conservative, stick in the mud,
Yeah, I don't,
and I
I don't,
don't?
yeah, I don't have any, for me, it's not a moral issue or anything like that. I personally have not seen it work. That does not mean that there aren't people out there who are making it work.
Right.
I have not, in my practice and in my personal life, speaking to people, have not seen it work.
Okay, that's good to know.
But I want to put it out there. That doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who are making it work. I have not seen it. That's it.
Like, I love it. As you know, the podcast is called The Art of Being Well. At the end of every episode, we have your Art of Being Well. It's Jillian Turecki's Art of Being Well. The first question is, what is the worst, absolute worst, tasting healthy food that you eat? If there's anything that checks those boxes of
Ooh.
I do this for my health, but I'm not doing it for the taste.
I don't love the taste of turmeric.
That's a good answer. How do you have it? You just have it in shots or?
Sometimes I'll do like turmeric tea and shots because it's supposed to be so inflammatory. I mean, is that anti-inflammatory? Is
Yeah,
that true?
that is true.
Um, and if it's like if it's cooked in food, I don't really taste it. But sometimes I do. Like I like ginger and I like the other spices, but I think turmeric kind of um, doesn't taste very good.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's
Yeah,
definitely you're not for the taste.
yeah.
What do you take? Do you take supplements? And if
hmm
so, what are two maybe surprising ones, lesser known ones that you take?
CoQ10 has
Love
been a
it.
game changer for me.
Some mitochondrial support.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah,
what I need. That's what I really truly need. Um, but I take other ones. But you said the one that's maybe not so.
yeah.
I think yeah. I like to take ashwagandha. Like I take some adaptogens. I take like and I the thing that completely transformed my hair, made it thick and shiny and wavy and amazing is spirulina. And I tried everything. I tried eating more protein, didn't work. I tried everything, and spirulina was the only thing that worked. So for what it's worth,
Great answers, Jillian. I love that.
yeah.
Do you have a spirulina like in powder
I
or?
do powder. I also do one that's like it's like barley grass, spirulina, reishi, like some adaptogen mussels, mushrooms all kind of mixed up and like chlorophyll. And then I do like pure Hawaiian spirulina. I do all powders. I love the taste of spirulina. So to me, it's not like a gag thing. I love it.
Hmm.
And that is the only thing. And I think that it's used in ancient Ayurveda. It's been used as something for hair growth. And let me tell you something, nothing else helped, not even a little bit.
I love that. So good. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a great source of so many phytocompounds, iron, B vitamins. It's
Is
just,
that
but
what
it's
it
like
is? Yeah.
it's so nutrient dense, I guess
Yeah.
is the way of saying it. Like you don't know which compound's helping, but the
Yes.
nutrient density is so great.
And I think you would know better than me, but I think drinking it as opposed to having to choose something makes me absorb it
Yeah,
better.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
the absorption rate is greater. All right, next question. Do you know what do you think of the Enneagram? And if
I
based on
don't know.
that, okay, you don't anything.
I'm
You don't
not
know what Enneagram?
educated. I
Okay.
know of it, but I'm not educated in it. Sorry.
Wait, I need to find out what Enneagram number you are, Jillian. It's
Oh, I
like
don't
okay,
know. How do I
okay.
figure it
I'll,
out?
I'll message you afterwards.
Will
I'm
you
gonna go
message
send it
me?
to
Yeah, because
you.
I don't know. I never went down. I know a lot of people are into that. I never went down that wormhole.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Next question is: where's someone you haven't traveled to, but it's on your bucket list?
Oh, there's quite a few places that are not even that exotic. I mean, dying to go to Greece, dying to go to Hawaii.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Where's somewhere you have been to that should be on other people's bucket list?
Fiji,
Beautiful. Never been.
unbelievable place, unbelievable people.
Is there anything you've done for your wellness, maybe like out of the box, the world would call it maybe a little bit weird that you're willing to admit on a podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I love like muscle testing. I love like I believe that most things are sort of energetic, and yeah, I mean, I really believe that every kind of physical ailment has an emotional component. So if I like meditate on the emotional stuff and release that, like I see certain physical ailments just sort of go away. So
Brilliant.
I'm really into that stuff.
Right there with you. Right there with you.
Yeah.
What's a book that you've read that I should add to the Art of Being Well book club that was just paradigm shifting for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, God, there's so many. But I would say anything about love by Eric Fromm.
Great. I'll add it
Yeah.
to the list. Jillian, this has been a blessing of a conversation. Thanks for coming on. Where do people get the book? Tell them where to go to learn
Yeah.
more about your work.
So the book is wherever books are sold, or you can go to jillianturecki.com/book. You got my podcast, Jillian on Love. And I have a special membership called The Conscious Woman. And that's for women who want to learn how to just have better relationships and self-esteem. And yeah, I'm all over social media. So you just need to know my first and last name and you can find me.
Jillian, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.